Those same two drugs that I mentioned, the irinotecan and the 5-FU, the one you had before, plus another drug. That's the experimental part. And basically the question would be whether the triplet works better than just the standard two. I don't know if you knew this, but this was done back in, back in October, I guess, when you first came to MD Anderson, they drew your blood to look at what genes were mutated in your tumor. And so the trial that I just mentioned targets this gene in particular, the one called FBXW7, which is mutant in your tumor. So these are all the genes that are mutated in your specific tumor. And so of those, this is essentially the only one that we have a drug against. There are some drugs against this gene, but but not in this particular mutation. So really, this is I think the best option. So I think this trial actually is a good fit for you because it's specifically for patients that have a mutation in that tumor.
Is it more aggressive?
Well, I mean, yes, in the sense that it would be 3 drugs instead of 2.
Okay.
Normally we would just do the normal. So, okay. Have you ever had a drug called panitumumab or cetuximab?
No, friend.
So that would be so your tumor. This test is useful for a couple of reasons. This gene here, which is not mutated, tumors that don't have that mutation, there's another drug that we could add. So if you didn't want to go on trial, I would say we would do so pretty much any way you look at it, you're gonna get, well, I'm gonna recommend 5-FU, that's the pump you already had, and the irinotecan kind of no matter what. I mean, you don't have to do anything, so you can choose whatever you wanted. So I would recommend those 2 for sure. If you didn't want to go on trial, I would recommend adding a drug that's kind of like the Avastin, but slightly different, that targets, which we can use that because this gene is not mutated. I would do that triple, but I think the best option I would recommend would be going on trial with the 2 drugs and then one that targets that gene that is mutated in your tumor. So, I think so. In the sense that in the sense that we would be on the trial, it would be 3 drugs instead of 2.
Mm-hmm. Would that lower the sessions? Because they're saying she has to do about 4 more sessions, and then they'll take her off and then consider her for surgery again. So about 3 months.
Not really.
Okay.
Okay. The only concern I have about the trial is that if it's if I didn't support people going on clinical trials, I wouldn't work for MD Anderson. That's kind of the main reason to come to MD Anderson is because with using the same chemo, we're going to have the same results as anywhere else. You know what I mean? If you want to have, our surgeons are great. You definitely come here for surgery. It's great that you came here for our surgeons. I think our surgeons are better at doing surgery than other people. But whether you get the chemo, if you get the same chemo here, you get it in Longview, results going to be the same, right?
Well, I don't think it was the location. Well, for sure the location, because Longview is garbage. Like customer service, the way they handle, it's just garbage.
Okay. Well, but anyway, so I guess if I didn't, so long way to say, I'm a big supporter of clinical research, but the only concern I have is if it would delay if it's going to delay too long when you could start, that would be a reason to just go on to standard treatment. So I literally just found out that you were coming to see me today, so
right.
This morning, and I messaged them, so we should find out relatively soon if you're eligible, and if you are eligible, like how soon we could start.
Okay.
If both of those look like we could start soon, then I would encourage you to get, at that point we'd give you more information so you can, kind of get more details. So I would do that. If not, I would start the other, the irinotecan, 5-FU.
Right away.
Panitumumab, basically as soon as we can.
Okay.
because you've been off for 2 months.
Mm-hmm.
And if the plan is to get to, except we want to be, right now you're kind of on the border of being able to have surgery or not. So if we, if there's anyone where we want to be aggressive, it would be you, because if we can, because we're kind of, there's some people that we know that they're never going to have surgery. We don't necessarily want to be aggressive because you're not going to get to surgery. You
Right.
kind of we got to play the long game. Here, I feel like we got a 3-month window where we got to shrink as much as we can, because
And get it out.
If we don't get you to surgery in the next, 6-ish months, the chance that you're ever going to get to surgery is low. So this is our window to.
So we have to get it done.
And this is why I'm seeing now I understand why the surgeons wanted us to see you today, because we want to.
Does that mean terminal? If we don't get there?
Well, with conventional chemotherapy, the only way to. There are some rare exceptions where with just chemotherapy the tumor goes away, but for the most part, surgery is the only
option.
way to cure. Like cure meaning tumor goes away, doesn't come back.
Okay, so how long do
obviously the situation is not as good today as it was before we got that scan, but I think we have a very good chance of getting you to that surgery. Just saying that we want to be, this is our window, and we kind of gotta move on it.
So do you have a time frame as when they would probably get her approval to go ahead and get her started? And I guess the better question would be, while you're waiting on the trial to be approved, or them to say whether or not she can go on there, can she go ahead and start the Ricotan and the other one?
Probably not, but we should know. We should know like by Monday what if there's going to be spots or not.
Okay.
And roughly how long it would be. And I haven't had a chance to talk to Dr. White since.
Right.
I think he's operating now. And we'll kind of see. Wait, do you have a port still?
Yes.
You did? Okay, that's great. Okay. So the standard chemo, like as soon as we just need to book appointment time, and then once we have that, so we could conceivably start that as early as next week.
Okay. Now, is there anything outside of like chemo that we could do to because I know sugar and things of that nature could feed it, but as far as on the healthier side for her,
unfortunately not. The sugar. Your whatever you eat is going to get processed into sugar. You know what I mean? So there's no one has ever shown that kind of starving yourself of carbohydrates. And shit actually
helps,
the
right?
cancer. So it's not. It's one of those things that it's not a bad theory, but it just no one has shown that it actually
works. Right.
So I wouldn't, especially while you're on chemo. I'm when we're giving people chemo, we're concerned about them losing appetite, losing weight. So I wouldn't try to.
So just eat whatever she likes, basically.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I was about to starve her of sugar.
Yeah. So I wouldn't do that. So I had to save you from getting started.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, yeah. Hopefully we get something next week. Thank you for taking us so fast.
Okay. Well, let me. So I'm gonna have. We'll do two things. One, we'll ask the nursing staff to give you information that you can read about kind of what the standard treatment would be.
Okay.
I'll ask you to go ahead and sign the consent now. The consent just means that we can treat you there's really, honestly, I question why we do this, but the nurses will not go forward if the consent's not signed. You can withdraw your consent anytime. Basically, it just says that we talked about it. And then we'll give the information. So that will kind of get everything teed up to start as soon as possible if we're not going to go on trial. And then once the trial nurses get back to me, I'll have them either call you directly or they kind of talk about it and then kind of call you afterwards, and we can decide whether it's.
If they if I'm not able to do the trial, in your opinion, do you think the I'm sorry.
It's okay. I'll take time. It's okay. It's okay.
Do you think I still have a good chance with the other chemo?
Yeah, I think your you know the first and again, actually I didn't have a chance to look from the very beginning. You got that chemo, things got smaller, right?
Mm-hmm.
First time, yeah. So the fact that the first chemo and the tumor has grown while you're not getting chemo, so but not like what, meaning that while you were getting the chemo, the tumor was
Shrinking. Mm-hmm.
So you know, it's not a guarantee that this next chemo is going to also work, but there's a good chance the standard treatment would work because it's pretty similar to what you started with, and that also worked.
But it's still that same time frame though. Like even when they stop her, let's just say it shrinks down, it gets rid of those spots. When they stop her to prepare for surgery, it could do what it did now and grow back, right?
Possible, but I mean, we probably they'd want to have a shorter break, like probably just 4 to 6 weeks. Not I guess this was more like.
So the
I guess
chemo. Well, the reason they had to wait a little bit longer because of the strong chemo that causes the
Avastin,
cold. Yeah, I had to be off that at least 6 weeks. So
So you're not taking it this time.
Right. So the other chemos, would I have to be off of it like more than a month?
I'll talk to the surgeons. I think 4 weeks is probably minimum, but I think you could probably do it more like 4 weeks. I think. It depends a little bit on how extensive the surgery is.
So the mass on my liver, the fact that it's there's
mutated.
more spots.
Mm-hmm.
But my oncologist back in Longview was telling me a while back that if it was more than one spot, there wasn't anything that could be done.
Well, it kind of depends on where they're located. So, and this is where we need the surgeon. Like, if the surgeons feel that they can take it all out, they can take it all out. The problem is that if the tumor is in a bad location, it's not good. The surgeons have to they got to be able to take all the tumor out, but they also have to be able to leave enough liver. So if you take out too much liver, you won't recover from the surgery. Like you need about a little over half of the liver.
Right. That's why they want to shrink it.
Yeah. If the tumor, so you could have many tumors, but if they're all on like the outside or all kind of clustered in one spot, so you could kind of cut that off and save the other part, that'd be okay. So it's not so much the number, it's the
location. Yeah.
However, the problem here is that the fact that these 3 new things came up, that in itself is a problem, but it also suggests that there could be other little microscopic areas that are also going to come up, and that's why the surgeons want to do more chemo to kind of make sure that what they're taking out is everything.
Gotcha.
Does that kind of make sense? So we need to, ideally we want to shrink down what is there, but the most critical thing is we got to make sure that there's no new. Like even if what we see gets smaller, but new stuff pops up, then the surgeons are going to be like,
no.
There's, because what they're trying to avoid is that you don't want to. If you go through that whole surgery and then a month later there's new spots, now you got to recover from that big surgery.
While taking chemo.
And you still got the.
Yeah.
They didn't say anything about it today, but they saw a spot on my lung.
Let me take. Let me see that report.
And that was the last time.
Yeah, so that's mentioned here. That's so it's small. So they do say that there's something there, but 6 millimeters is quite small. It's too small to biopsy. That's.
It was still there from the CAT scan from yesterday.
Yeah. So I mean, we'll watch that, but that's not. Even if that's not gonna, that's not your major problem. But we'll, every time you get a scan, we'll scan your chest also, but the problem is the liver in the person. So I'm gonna ask you to sign this. So I haven't given you information yet, but this just means that we've talked about the, potential side effects of chemotherapy. And then I'll give you the information, and then, we should know by early next week whether the trial is gonna be an option.
And you said the chemo, it'll just, possibly, hair loss.
Yeah, so similar to what you had before, fatigue can lower the blood counts. Lowering the blood counts brings a risk of infection and a risk of bleeding. That's all basically the same as what you had before. The chance of having hair loss, hair thinning is definitely higher with this one, with the irinotecan. Did you have much of that with the prior stuff?
Not really, but some of it did come out.
Okay. Yeah, that could definitely be worse. It's not going to be like complete. When they get breast cancer and they get a drug called paclitaxel, where it's not going to be. I've never seen it that severe, but it's going to be probably worse than what you had before. That diarrhea. That's the other one. That again, diarrhea is interesting. Some people get a lot of diarrhea. Some people get no diarrhea. I've never had to stop treating people because of diarrhea because we kind of figure out how to balance. We've got a lot of anti-diarrhea medicines, so we just kind of balance that with the chemo, and that usually works.
Okay.
So those are the main differences.
And then the one for the trial, that's why it's called the trial. We don't really know.
Well, so it's a fair amount is known about the side effects, but we can, if the trial is an option for you, the trial coordinator will kind of talk to you, kind of like it'll be like a whole deal. But I don't want to.
Okay.
If they tell me that they're not going to have a spot until next month, then it's not.
Yeah. Okay.
It's not worth like getting into all that. So.
Okay,
Right.
yes, sir.
So I don't know that yet.
Okay. So one other question. So my chemo treatments, I don't want to deal with my oncologist in Longview. I've already told her that I'm not, I'm not going back to her. I either wanted to come here or maybe team up with, is it UT Tyler?
I believe so. Yeah.
UT Tyler.
Okay, so I would at least to get started, I would come here just because that'll happen faster. Like actually, with so we could give you the chemo here, main campus, or is Woodlands significantly closer to you?
Who?
The Woodlands.
No idea where that is.
No, that's
Woodlands
where we
is like
went to that
north.
resort that year.
Oh, in Dallas?
No. The Woodlands is like about a 45 minutes to an hour
From here.
north of here.
Yeah.
So it's kind of near. It's kind of near the airport, like Intercontinental Airport.
Oh, so it's still Houston. It's just the outskirts.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's like outside of like the 8 loop.
820?
No, the 8 like the Beltway, number 8.
Oh, the toll road?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. I love the toll road.
Yeah, so it's like near like Spring. Is that
Okay. So
If it's Houston, we're gonna find it.
okay? But I mean, like if that's closer to you, that we don't. We also then there's
Whichever one's gonna get her in the fastest.
Okay.
Yeah, that works.
Wasn't that actually may be faster there as well? So that's all. So like that would still be me writing the orders.
Okay, and we just gotta get there. That's fine.
Yeah. So that's closer. We could have you do it there, or so basically the locations. This is called main campus. There's Woodlands. There's Katy, which is west, which wouldn't help you.
Oh yeah, that's way on the other side. Okay.
you said we could come here.
League City, yeah. Or you just come here. Okay.
Oh yeah, I mean it doesn't matter.
Come here.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so that will be faster, and then if you do establish with another, the thing is that like I can't like work with another future. So like if you want
No,
to,
I want to work with you. I mean, I would just
No,
All this is new to me.
I got you.
So yeah, I really
I'm just
deal
saying, like,
with
if you
one
wanted to
doctor
get the
too.
chemo in Tyler, you would have to like have another oncologist there. 'Cause,
Right.
Like, I can't like if I write word like they'll do it at the Woodlands, fine. They'll call me. If there's an issue, but like if it's in Tyler, like
There's so many
if
loops.
they're not
Yeah.
yeah, like I don't have.
Nah, we could just come here.
No, I'd rather come here.
Does that make sense?
Mhm.
So, but we have both. I mean, we have some people that come, MD Anderson for everything. We have some people that, come here. We set the plan, and they live in like El Paso, so like what I mean. It's not they can't drive.
Yeah,
back, so
yeah,
they got
Paso's far.
or we have people in Tyler that kind of just want to be in,
Local.
Lufkin and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Want to do local. So we're happy to do it either way.
Okay.
Okay.
Well,
But
yeah.
just the main thing is that we want to, in your current situation, I want you've already been off treatment for a while, so
Too long.
um,
Just to be here.
I'm worried about, and there's not a lot of like true emergencies in cancer. For the most part, it's like most of the time, whether we start the chemo this week or next week, it's gonna work or not work and whatever. But in your case, I don't want to. We're kind of on an edge,
Right.
so
right.
I don't
Right.
want to. I don't want to wait longer than we have to.
Okay.
Okay.
That works. Well, we'll be here.
Okay. What other questions do you guys have for me?
That was everything I have.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay, so sit tight. So those are for you guys to keep. I will ask the nursing staff to bring you information on the standard treatment. Yes, please. And then still need it.
Oh, sorry, this is not the right room.
Oh.
Okay, no problem. I thought I was kidding. Normally my clinic stops at.
Oh, no, you're
So
fine.
I was like, we're getting kicked out of here. Okay, so sit tight. They'll give you that. I don't.
What's the alarm just
Stop it. Stop it. Okay.
I think we should tentatively plan to start. Let's see, the holiday.
Hi,
I think let's
Marissa.
tentatively
It's
plan to
1:30
start like
p.m.
chemo 2
Right
weeks
now
from
in Houston,
today.
It's 57
Okay.
degrees
Um,
and partly cloudy. Today it'll be partly
If
cloudy.
there's possible to do
Forecasted
it
high of 60 and a low
sooner,
of 54.
we can.
I mean, if possible, because
Have a wonderful day.
I don't care. I don't know about you. I don't care about the holidays or anything. I just want to get
From
well.
CNN
Okay.
News
Um,
I
Briefing,
will.
8 a.m. today.
Let's tentatively plan for 2 weeks from today.
Okay.
But once I hear about the trial and the availability, if we, I don't know how we're doing, but it's not inconceivable to think that we could do it next week. But let me see. Let me first thing is I think the trial could be a good option for you, but let me see what the I don't know
but
if there's openings.
if we don't have to wait 2 weeks,
I hear you. Okay, I'll do. I don't want to.
I know.
No promises, but-
Like I said, I don't want to promise something I can't deliver
No,
on,
I
but,
Right.
understand.
but I hear that if possible, we'll move it up.
Yeah.
Okay.
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 All right. It was very nice to meet you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you as well.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So
Thank
sit tight.
you.
They'll get these. Oh, you're welcome. Yeah. Then once you get that, then you should be good. You've already had your labs drawn. Just
Yes,
run it through. Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.